Picture this, you're 24, maybe 25. You just got your first real paycheck, not the side hustle, not the part-time thing you did in college, the actual salary from the actual job you spent 4 years preparing for. And for the first time in your life, you go out to dinner and you don't do math in your head before you order. You upgrade your apartment. You feel like you've finally arrived. And then something quietly terrifying happens. 3 years go by, your salary goes up, and you feel exactly as financially stuck as you did the day you graduated. Every raise disappears, every month resets to zero. Your bank account looks basically the same in October as it did in January, and you start wondering, is this just what being in your 20s feels like? Is everyone else dealing with this too? Here's the uncomfortable answer: some of it, yes, but a lot of it, that's you making mistakes that feel completely normal right up until the moment they've already cost you somewhere between $500,000 and $4 million in wealth you should have had. Today, we're going to talk about exactly what those mistakes are, what they're actually costing you in real numbers, and how to stop making them before they quietly dismantle your financial future while you're busy living your life. My name is Miko, and I spend way too much time thinking about the financial decisions people make in their 20s and what those decisions look like 20 years later. If you're someone who feels like they're doing everything kind of okay but has this low-grade anxiety that you might be missing something important, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. Let's get into it. Section 1: The salary you didn't negotiate. Let's start with a mistake that happens in a single 10-minute conversation, or more accurately, a conversation you didn't have. When most people get their first job offer, they get a number, they feel a wave of relief, and they say yes. Immediately, without a single counter. Not because the number is fair, not because they researched the market rate, but because negotiating felt greedy and asking for more felt like it might cost them the offer entirely. Here's what most people don't realize: that one moment of social discomfort avoidance is statistically one of the most expensive decisions they will ever make. Carnegie Mellon economist Linda Babcock studied exactly this and found the lifetime earnings gap between people who negotiate their first salary and people who don't sit somewhere between $600,000 and $1.5 million. Not because the first job pays dramatically more, but because every raise, every bonus, every retirement match for the rest of your career is calculated as a percentage of your base. A higher starting number doesn't just mean more now, it means a permanently higher floor that compounds upward for decades. And here's the part that should genuinely frustrate you. In surveys of over 50,000 hearing managers, 76% said they had room to increase the initial offer by 5 to 10%. They just weren't going to volunteer it. Meanwhile, 64% of job seekers accepted the first number without a single counter. And of the people who did negotiate, 94% of them kept the offer. The fear of losing the job by asking is almost entirely fictional. The fix is literally one sentence. Something like, "I'm really excited about this role based on my research on market rate. I was hoping for something closer to X. Is there any flexibility there?" That's it. 30 seconds of mild awkwardness versus $1 million. The math is not close. Now you might be thinking, okay, but I already have my job, I already accepted, it's too late for me. It's not. The same logic applies every single time you're up for a review. Most people accept whatever number their manager puts in front of them because asking for more feels uncomfortable. Your manager is counting on that. Stop letting them count on it. Section 2: Treating your 20s like a financial practice round. This is the one that quietly costs people the most, and it's almost entirely invisible while it's happening. Most people in their 20s tell themselves some version of, "I'll start investing when things settle down, when I pay off the loans, when I get the next raise, when I feel more financially stable." That moment almost never comes, because financially stable isn't a destination you arrive at, it's a feeling that moves. And every year you wait is a year of compound interest you permanently burned. Let me give you the number that should genuinely change how you think about your 20s. If you start putting $300 a month into a basic S&P 500 index fund at 22, by 62 you'd have around $1.9 million. If you wait until 32, same $300 a month, same fund, same market, you'd have $680,000, a $1.2 million gap, from 1 decade of waiting, despite contributing the exact same amount every single month. That is compound interest doing what compound interest does. It doesn't care how smart you are, how good your stock picks are, or how busy your 20s were. It cares about one thing: time, and time is the one thing your 20s are full of and your 40s are short on. Here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly a little depressing. The median Gen Z retirement balance right now is roughly $4,800. Fidelity's guideline is to have approximately 1 times your annual salary saved by age 30. For someone making $60,000, that's $60,000 by their 30th birthday. The average Gen Z worker has $4,800. That gap between where most people are and where they should be, it gets exponentially harder to close with every year that passes. And look, I'm not telling you to live on nothing in your 20s, I'm telling you to start. Even small. Even $50 a month into a Roth IRA is more powerful than you think right now, and your future self will feel the difference in a way that's hard to describe until you're there. The simplest version of the right move. If your employer offers a 401k match, that is a guaranteed 50 to 100% return on your contribution before the market does a single thing. Not capturing the full match is turning down free money. For someone on a $62,000 salary, that unclaimed match, just the match, nothing else, compounds over a career to somewhere between $300,000 and $664,000. People are leaving that on the table because they haven't gotten around to filling out a form. Don't be that person. Section 3, the car payment that quietly dismantles your future. Okay, this one is going to sting a little for some of you, and I want you to sit with it rather than immediately reaching for a reason it doesn't apply to you. The average new car payment in America right now is $795 a month. Not for a luxury vehicle, that's the average. For trucks and SUVs, it routinely hits $1,000 or $1,300. And almost nobody sitting in that dealership, signing the paperwork, feeling that new car feeling, opens a compound interest calculator. Here's the question nobody asks in the showroom. What happens if I invest this $650 a month for 6 years instead of sending it to a bank and then just let it sit and grow until I retire? The answer is roughly $660,000 by age 60. That is the wealth you don't build because the money is locked into something that started losing value the second you drove it off the lot. A new car loses somewhere between 15 and 25% of its value in the first year alone. You are financing an asset that is actively working against you. Here's the thing, a 3-year-old Honda Civic will get you from your apartment to your office just as reliably as a $40,000 SUV. It will not spark the same feeling when you walk up to it in the parking lot. It will also not quietly dismantle your financial future while you sit in traffic listening to podcasts about building wealth. I'm not saying never buy a nice car, I'm saying understand what you're actually trading when you do. A car payment is one of the most common examples of a decision that feels like a monthly expense but is actually a 30-year wealth decision in disguise. The rule: keep your total car cost, payment, insurance, gas, maintenance under 15% of your take-home pay. If you're stretching past that, you're buying a car for your identity, not for transportation. That's your choice. Just make it with open eyes. Section 4, the minimum payment trap. By the mid-20s, a lot of people have some amount of credit card debt. Usually not from anything dramatic, just a few months of overspending during a move, some dinners, some online purchases that made sense at the time. The kind of balance that accumulates not because you're irresponsible but because you're human and the card is right there and everything feels approximately free until it isn't. And most people handle this the same way, paying the minimum every month, keeping up with it, telling themselves they're dealing with it. Here's what keeping up with it at 22% APR actually looks like. On a $5,200 balance, paying declining minimums, it takes over 30 years to pay off. The total you repay isn't $5,200, it's closer to $14,000. You spend $8,800 in interest on purchases you've mostly forgotten about. That burrito that cost $14, it cost you $47. The $200 concert ticket, $530. The minimum payment is specifically engineered to keep you paying for as long as mathematically possible. It is not a repayment plan, it is a subscription to your own debt. Here's the psychological trick that makes this hard to see: the minimum payment feels like progress. Every month you pay it, you feel like you handled it. The number goes down slowly, and your brain registers that as movement in the right direction. It is not. It is the financial equivalent of running on a treadmill and calling it a road trip. The move is mechanical and it requires no financial sophistication whatsoever. Every available dollar goes to the highest interest rate debt first. Every dollar applied to 22% interest is a guaranteed 22% return. There is no investment account on earth that beats that risk-adjusted right now. Pay the minimums on everything else. Attack the highest rate with everything you have. When it's gone, roll that payment to the next one. This is called the avalanche method, and it is boring and it works. Section 5. The raise that disappeared. This is the most universal financial experience of your 20s, and almost no one recognizes it while it's happening. You get a raise, a real one, maybe $5,000, maybe $8,000, and within 3 or 4 months you have nothing to show for it, not because you did something reckless, because your lifestyle silently recalibrated to match your new income before you made a single conscious decision about it. The apartment upgrade felt like a natural next step, eating out more because you could. A few extra subscriptions, better versions of things you already had, a weekend trip that felt earned. None of it felt like a mistake. All of it together consumed every dollar of the raise before it had any chance of becoming anything. This is lifestyle creep, and the thing that makes it so dangerous is that it's invisible from the inside. Your life looks more expensive, which feels like progress, but your net worth, the only number that actually builds wealth, stays completely flat. Here's the psychology underneath it. Your brain has a satisfaction baseline it keeps returning to. You get the raise, you feel great for a few weeks, then you adapt. The new baseline feels normal and your brain starts scanning for the next upgrade. It's not weakness, it's how humans are wired, but it will eat your financial future if you don't build a structure around it. The rule that actually works: treat every raise like half of it doesn't exist. The moment your income goes up, redirect at least half automatically before it hits your spending account to investments or debt payoff. What doesn't touch your checking account cannot be gradually reassigned to a nicer version of your existing life. The people who build real wealth aren't making dramatically more money than their peers. They're just keeping a higher percentage of what they make. That gap between what you earn and what you keep is the only number that matters. Everything else is performance. Section 6. The social spending spiral. Let me tell you what's actually happening in your friend group, the one that looks from the outside like everyone's doing pretty well. The friend who always picks up rounds, 2 credit cards running near their limit. The person who went on 3 trips this year, financed 2 of them at 24% APR on a travel card they've been carrying a balance on for 2 years. The one with the apartment that looks like a catalog spread, spending 52% of their take-home on housing and quietly panicking about it. Everyone is performing, almost nobody is winning. Research from Empower found that 51% of Americans say seeing what others buy on social media motivates spending they wouldn't otherwise do. Roughly 70% of Gen Z experiences what researchers call financial FOMO, twice the rate of millennials. And the average person in their 20s spends over $400 a month on non-essentials, more than twice what older generations spend in the same categories. Why? Because Gen Z is the first generation to have their entire social life mediated by a platform that is specifically engineered to make everyone else's life look like an aspirational highlight reel 24 hours a day. You are not seeing their credit card statement. You are not seeing the anxiety at 2 a.m. when the rent clears and the balance is lower than expected. You are seeing the curated version of a financial life that in many cases is being funded by debt. Here's what most people don't realize: actual wealth is almost entirely invisible. The people who are quietly building it aren't performing it on social media. They're too busy maxing out their Roth IRA while everyone else is funding the appearance of financial confidence on a visa. The fix isn't to stop having a social life. It's to decide what you actually want to spend money on versus what you're spending money on because it feels like what everyone around you is doing. Those are 2 very different lists. Most people in their 20s have never compared them. Section 7. The credit score you're not managing. Your credit score is not a moral judgment. It's a financial instrument, and you're either managing it or you're not. And the cost of not managing it is extremely specific and extremely avoidable. Most people in their 20s think about their credit score roughly as often as they think about their car's transmission, which is to say never until something breaks. But here's what neglecting it actually costs. The difference between a $680 and a $760 on a $300,000 mortgage isn't a rounding error. It's $50,000 to $80,000 over the life of the loan. On a car loan, the difference between a mediocre score and a good one can mean paying an interest rate that's 7 or 8 percentage points higher, thousands of dollars on the exact same vehicle. The whole system rewards one thing: boring, consistent behavior over time. Pay on time. This is 35% of your score and the single most important factor. Keep your credit utilization below 30%, meaning if you have a $5,000 limit, don't carry more than $1,500. Don't close old accounts. Don't apply for a bunch of new credit in a short period. If you're starting with no credit history, get a secured credit card, use it for gas, pay it in full every month. Within about a year, you'll have a real score. It's not complicated, it just requires actually doing it. The people who end up paying tens of thousands of dollars in excess interest over their lifetime aren't doing so because they made some dramatic financial error. They're doing it because they never got around to the basic maintenance of something they could have fixed in a few months for free. Section 8, the subscription audit you've never done. Last one, and this one is almost funny until you run the numbers. Studies show that people underestimate their monthly subscriptions by an average of $133. Think about what you're paying for right now. Streaming services, cloud storage, gym memberships, music, news sites, apps you downloaded during a moment of ambitious self-improvement and have opened twice since January. Most people think they're spending around $80 a month on subscriptions. The actual number, when you pull the bank statements, is usually closer to $200 to $250. That $150 gap you don't know about is $1,800 a year. Over 30 years at historical market returns, it's $339,000. Not from anything dramatic, from a meditation app and a streaming service you forgot to cancel after the free trial. The audit takes 20 minutes. Pull your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Highlight every recurring charge. For each one, ask yourself one question: would I immediately notice if this was gone? If the answer is anything other than a clear yes, cancel it. You can always resubscribe to something you actually miss. The reason most people never do this isn't because it's hard, it's because it requires looking directly at something you've been looking past. Once you look, you can fix it in an afternoon. Most people just never look. Let me give you the total picture. The salary you didn't negotiate, conservatively $400,000 in lifetime earnings. The decade of investing you delayed, a $1.2 million gap in retirement savings. The car payment you're sending to a bank instead of investing, $660,000. The raises that disappeared into lifestyle upgrades, $200,000 to $400,000. The subscriptions you forgot about, $339,000. The credit score you neglected, $50,000 in excess interest. Add it up, somewhere between $2.8 million and $4 million in wealth built or not built, depending on decisions that felt completely ordinary. Decisions that most people around you are making every single day without a second thought. Here's the uncomfortable truth underneath all of this. The financial system is not designed to make your 20s easy to navigate correctly. The car dealership makes more money when you finance more. The credit card company makes more money when you carry a balance. The subscription service is betting you forget about them after the trial. Instagram doesn't show you the credit card statement that funded the trip. Nobody in any of those transactions has any incentive to tell you what this video just told you. That every dollar you let compound in your 20s becomes $10 or $15 by the time you actually need it. And every dollar that goes to a car loan, a minimum payment, a forgotten subscription, that dollar just disappears. None of what I talked about today requires extraordinary discipline. It doesn't require a finance degree or a spreadsheet obsession or giving up any version of your life that actually matters to you. It requires negotiating the salary, starting the investment account, even small, buying the boring car or at least a less expensive version of the one you want, paying off the card instead of managing the minimum, not spending the raise, doing the 20-minute subscription audit. The people who look financially free at 45 weren't doing anything exceptional at 25. They just did the ordinary things while everyone around them was planning to start next year. Your 20s aren't a practice round. The math doesn't pause while you get your life together. The clock is already running, and the good news, the genuinely good news, is that if you're watching this, you still have time. Start now, not Monday, not after the next paycheck, now. If this video helped you, hit the thumbs up. It makes a real difference for this channel. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of content, and drop in the comments which of these mistakes hit closest to home. I read every one. See you in the next one.